Hey you guys, my name is Naz and I'm your safety captain and I will try my best to be as quick as possible. I'm very sorry I couldn't attend today's interest meeting. I had a very important interview, college interview, but I'll try my best to kind of go through the responsibilities as a safety member and kind of what we do and what aspects of our robotic team that we focus on. So right away, I would like to highlight kind of the responsibilities as a member. It's teamwork, overall responsibility when it comes to handling various things, respect, caution, and alertness. It's very important as a person who's kind of responsible for the safety aspect of robotics. It's very important to be alert at all times if anyone needs help to kind of either call for help or assist help if you're certified. So I'll talk about that more later, but these are kind of the highlights. And overall, I would just like to point out if we were in class, which I hope that we come back, there is a fire extinguisher right outside. This is our back door, and there's a fire extinguisher right in front of the door and outside the door as well. It's kind of what we have to know as a safety member. These basic things we have to kind of memorize them about the room and our environment, so that in case something happens, it's already behind our brain. And then as a fire extinguisher, it's very easy to use. Basically, there's a pin that's located right underneath the handle. That's what I call. You basically pull the pin and right away aim at the base of the fire, and you kind of move the fire extinguisher in a linear way so that it gets away all of the fire in such a fast amount of time. And there's various types of fire extinguisher. There's a carbon dioxide one, the powder, water, and wet chemical, and they all have different, they're all used for different things like this chart shows. I'm not going to go over all of it, but basically, for instance, you don't want to use a water extinguisher for computer generators or like flammable metals. You want to use it for combustible materials. And so going on, a couple of things as what I would like to highlight is that a fire blanket is usually a blanket that's like the name says, it's made out of a specific material and it literally blocks fire if we throw it on it. And automated external defibrillators are, hopefully we never even got to use them, but hopefully we never do, God forbid. It's basically if any person's going through some kind of heart attack or cardiac arrest, you put those two patches, one above the right arm or the right chest, and the other one is right below your left chest. And it's very easy to use because there's a robot on it, but then again, if you're not certified, you're not allowed to use it. And while you're kind of controlling the machine, another person, it's always recommended for that person to do chest compressions. Again, this is all people who are certified. Another thing is basically the fire blanket is located, this is our first door entrance into our robotics room, and it's right at the right side of your right side when you enter the room. Again, as a safety member, we have to be cautious in the sense that when everyone leaves, this is how our room is supposed to look, very clean and organized. That's our job, to keep everything safe and clean, because at the end of the day, things are on our way. It's what causes injuries. Another thing that you'll hear a lot about robotics members say is safety team highlighting how important goggles are. Goggles are very important and they have to be worn at all times, especially when you're on the building area, which is kind of in the picture showing. It's very important. It prevents so much various injuries that could possibly happen. So it's as our safety member, it's our role to kind of make sure everyone is following the rules, basic rules. And then again, as a safety member, we work to prevent various injuries, and this happens first line is by wearing these tools and equipment. For instance, goggles, for instance, wearing appropriate shoes, for instance, gloves, for instance, following basic rules like no food or beverage allowed. This is already put a lot of importance on it. When we're in school, you're not allowed to bring any food or beverage to the room. Wear proper clothing, your hair should be tied back. These are all basic things that we're literally taught in our science classes or lab safety quizzes that you might have taken. So yeah, it's always important to keep your workspace clean. These are very essential things. As I stated earlier, they're technically what leads to injuries. No horseplay. You have to take things very seriously, especially when it comes to handling tools. So tools like drill, saw, hammer, these are tools that are not there to play. These are only tools that should be taken out or used only if you have either been directed to do so or if you need them. Do not in no circumstance pick up the tools with only single hand, especially like hammers or heavy tools. Both hands. That's why we have two hands. Don't carry tools in your pockets. These are clothing items. It will easily rip off and cause some kind of skin injuries. So these are kind of like the basic rules. And as a safety team, the main reason I'm presenting you this is to show you that this is the information that as a safety member, it's our job to instill it in the brain of our members so that everyone could be safe and everyone is acknowledging these basic rules of safety. And then again, these power tools should not be used unless you're told to do so or by supervisor. And then electrical safety is another part that's very important when it comes to us building robots. You have to avoid overloading any kind of extension cords. It's very important because overloading could lead into power strip, and we don't want none of that to happen. If any kind of electrical tool starts smoking, you have to immediately let me or an advisor know so that we could actually act to prevent it. Another thing that is an aspect of safety is battery safety. Batteries are made of acid, so they essentially, if they spill, it is something that should be action should be made right away to prevent from injuring anyone, and especially battery spills. It's very important as a safety member to know how to prevent them. First off, you need to wear goggles and have gloves, specifically latex gloves, to prevent your skin being in contact and your eyes being in contact with the acid. We have to then clean the rest of the battery spill by using baking soda, the best way to prevent that, since batteries contain acid. And then we have to make sure that you're again wearing protective layer. And these are kind of like the basic things. But then again, if any battery kind of spill happens, you have to let me know. This is something that we have to let everyone know, that you have to follow these directions. And then we have different types of injuries, like for instance, eye injury. If any of these injuries ever happen, you let me know. Again, as I said, eye injuries usually happen if you don't wear gloves, goggles, which is why I'm highlighting this a lot, that we have to wear goggles. So eye injuries could be physical or chemical, but we have an eye wash station. If we were in school, I would have showed you guys. So instead of washing with water, we can easily wash with that. I will help you, assist you. Hopefully this never happens, but yeah. And then we have different various burns. So there's 3 degrees of burn. To be very basic, I'm gonna give you the most basic explanation. It goes first and to third, goes from the least severe to most severe, and there's 3 layers of the skin: epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Well, when it comes to the 3rd degree burn, it's usually to the dermis, and that's where the nerves are, so it could potentially be to a risk factor where it's like almost that you pass out. So these degree burns, if anything, is usually identified through the eye if you're kind of experienced. But in either way, even if it's 1st degree, even if it's an abrasion, you have to still treat it. You have to still let me know. We have to tell this to the members actually, but yeah, basically this is a couple of things. And then just to highlight, I gave you guys this information because eventually this is what we would have to, as a team, explain to the whole team. And the safety team has to, basically, for me, if we were in school, I would have loved if everyone was in the team, our member, the safety team, was first aid, CPR, AED certified, because I did mine from American Red Cross, but usually, other than the fact that it looks good for college apps, since you guys are like aspiring freshmen and sophomores, it's also very important because essentially if any injury happens, you have the ability to kind of aid any member, or even when we're in the competition. On that note, I wanted to say this, that usually what would happen is there's a thing called pit area. I don't know if you guys have heard about it from other people talking about it, but pit area is usually where every team has their own personal space, and there's always judges going around there, and those judges are there specifically to analyze the quality of the safety team and how well we organize our area, how well our members are following the safety directions, the safety guidelines. It essentially shows how well we taught them and how well we instilled these basic procedures in their minds. Now, when we think of safety, those are not the only things that we have to do. There's things like the safety manual that we have to complete. There's things like certain techniques that we're going to present to the judges, because we are going to present and the certain techniques that we utilize to kind of spread this information to our team. Again, If you guys want to know about anything, please reach out to me. Do not hesitate. This essentially safety team is a very, very important aspect of robotics. It's kind of like the heart, in my opinion, other than the electrical and the building teams, because it's really what kind of everyone is cares about the most, because it's the safety of our members. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm always here to help you guys, and I hope we have a great time together and that I could give you guys kind of a basic overview. Yeah.